well, I think I should make a comment on that also. Any meeting, any contact group, call it what you want, that will be action-oriented and will lead to results that will cause the violence to stop, should be welcome. And that is the objective, that is the criteria I have in mind, to be action-oriented and to lead to concrete steps to stop the violence.
Hi, Mr. Anand. We're all talking about how we're on the, I'm with Fox News, sorry about that. Everybody's talking about the looming civil war that could happen, but in many ways it's actually already a regional conflict, isn't it? Because you have so many weapons and fighters crossing over to fight within this conflict. From your perspective, where are we now? Are we in a regional conflict? And does really the pressure at this point to resolve this crisis need to be focused on the international players in the region more to exert pressures on the internal players, or is it still a conflict that you think can be resolved from within?
No, you are right that it's a very complex and a difficult situation. That given the level of violence and the actors on the ground, you could say we are drifting, if we are not already, in a sort of a civil war. All efforts are being made to ensure that if it were to become a full-blown civil war, it doesn't spread to the neighbors. But your second part of your question, I agree with you, and this is why the contact group, that you cannot resolve it by just focusing on the players inside. You need to have the regional and international players be involved. They have to be part of the solution.
Please, Mr. Anand. Robert Moore with the British network ITN. You've spoken very eloquently, very passionately today about how Syria is on the edge of the abyss. I wonder what you would say tonight to the Syrian people. Should they, even at this late stage, really believe in diplomacy in your peace plan?
Let me answer your question this way. First of all, why diplomacy? Why the effort to resolve the issue peacefully? We are doing it because of our concern for the Syrian people. We should put the welfare of the Syrian people at the center of everything we do. I believe that any further militarization of the conflict will lead to disastrous consequences. By your implication, you believe that maybe a more assertive, robust action will be better than diplomacy, maybe. But the Council has given me a mandate to try to work with the parties to resolve this issue peacefully. If they decide to go another route, that is their right, but up to now, that decision has not been taken. And what I will say to the Syrian people is they have gone through a lot over the past 16 months, and the international community, through the Security Council, is trying to do whatever it can to help resolve the issue peacefully and stop the killing. The whole idea is to stop the killing, the brutality, the unacceptable human rights abuses, and it takes time. But we hope not too much time.
Evelyn, and then the last question will be Ali Farage.
Mr. Annan and Mr. Ban Ki-moon, Mr. El-Arabi, you've spoken about unity because everyone backed the six-point plan, but yet listening to the General Assembly, the divisions were the same that they've been for the last few months. Did you come any closer in private consultation? And also when you talk about regional players, does that mean Iran, Hezbollah, so forth?
You want to go first?
I have been always emphasizing the unity of member states, particularly Security Council. Today, I also emphasized that when the Security Council is united, we have seen such a huge impact, influence in addressing many regional conflict issues. In last April, the Security Council has taken two important resolutions, 2043, 2042, allowing this deployment of UNSMIS mission there. And they have also issued a very strong statement when this Al Hol massacre happened. Today's discussion, consultation with the Security Council members convinced me that Security Council members are very seriously engaged. Many member states have spoken out very passionately with the determined will to address this issue. I believe that the Syrian people have suffered far too long and too much. Too many people have been killed needlessly. This situation we have to stop. In that regard, the unity is essential, and whole international community must be united. At the same time, I urge the members of opposition forces, they should also be united in delivering their desires, their aspirations to see democratic and peaceful Syria. Just trying to disturb the role of the United Nations mission and trying to kill other civilians does not help at this time. Therefore, all the violence, both by government forces and opposition forces, must stop and engage with Kofi Annan so that this political negotiation can start. That's my message.
Let Al-Arabi go first.
Yes. Question of unity. The unity was demonstrated, as the Secretary General has said, in 2042 and 2043. We expect and hope that if the matter will put to the Council, we'll see another manifestation of this unity. But the question also moved around who should be involved in such action. And here we have to analyze well the situation. It's internal. The problem in Syria is internal. The people went to the street calling for democracy, liberty, as they did in Tunisia, in Libya, in my country, Egypt, in Yemen. They all were asking for their rights. They were met with violence, and that's how it started. So it's internal. The origin is internal. But to resolve it, you need pressure on everyone. And that will not come unless the Security Council will act together in tandem to ensure that enough pressure on all of the parties. We cannot, you have to take all the facts into consideration. We cannot be like an ostrich that put our head in the sand and not see what's around us. If you're going to have a contact group and you want to resolve, get everyone involved and go ahead and try to do it. But it has to be done soon, and action should come out of that.
No, I agree with the Secretary General that we had a stimulating discussion with the Council this afternoon, and the question of unity was very much on the table. And I was suggesting that the unity that exists will need to be lifted to a new level. We need a new level of unity, not just amongst the Council members, but among other governments in the region and elsewhere who have influence on the parties working together, working with the same objective. The Council obviously has to take the lead, and whatever else comes out of it, the Council will have a role to play. So I would want to see the Council, as one says, as one team with one mission, but it cannot be left to the Council alone. There are other governments who have influence, and they need to use that influence and work with the government for us to stop the bloodshed and help the Syrian people and help them escape this nightmare they are living.
Thank you. Mr. Annan, do you envision a political solution with President Assad in power? And do you see a positive role for Iran in this solution if it is possible? Thank you.
The whole idea is to get to a political transition, and the Syrian people will have to decide their future, the future political dispensation. They have to decide how they are governed and who governs them. And I think that it should be part of the eventual settlement that we are looking at. And the other thing I would want to say is the membership of the group that the contact group that was referred to. All these issues are at very early stage yet, and it's under consultation. But I think Iran, as an important country in the region, I hope will be part of the solution.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so speaking after a long UN Security Council meeting, that was the Secretary General of the UN, Ban Ki-moon, the Arab League Secretary General, Mohammed al-Arabi, and the UN and Arab League Special Envoy Kofi Annan speaking to the press there. The UN Secretary General said the danger of a civil war in Syria is very real and imminent. He said that the world needs to act now and hold further international discussions. Too many people have been killed, he said. This situation has to stop. Kofi Annan talking about his 6-point peace plan. When a journalist asked him whether that plan was dead, he said, I'm not sure it's dead, or whether its implementation is lacking. And that's what the Security Council has been discussing, how to get the Syrian government to implement it, even at this late hour. He said it's a complex and difficult situation. The welfare of Syrians must come first. Any further militarization of the conflict will be disastrous, he said. Let's get some analysis now. Live at the United Nations for us is Al Jazeera's Kristen Salumi. Kristen, what did you make of what you heard?
Well, a clear and united message coming from Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, Special Envoy Kofi Annan, and the Secretary General of the Arab League, Nabil al-Arabi, and that is that the time has come for more international action and unity on the part of the Council. It was interesting to hear from Secretary General Ban Ki-moon about the situation in Syria. Inside Council chambers, we're told that he painted a very grave situation that his monitors are facing in Syria right now. He talked about the fact that UN monitors are coming under attack, that they've been shot at by armor-piercing bullets, that heavy weapons have been used against them, and that surveillance drones have been following their movements. Interesting details that we hadn't heard before coming out of the United Nations. And he said clearly when he came out and spoke publicly that there is little evidence that the Syrian government is complying with its commitments under the 6-point plan. So we're hearing these leaders give more direct and strong criticism of the Syrian government, as well as this call for more action. Listen to what Ban Ki-moon had to say.
Syria can quickly go from a tipping point to a breaking point. The danger of full-scale civil war is imminent and real, with catastrophic consequences for Syria and the region. We see little evidence that the regime is complying with its commitment under the 6-point plan endorsed by the Security Council more than 2 months ago. The opposition is hardening and turning increasingly to arms. Terrorists are exploiting the chaos. Gross human rights violations are multiplying. The killing we have witnessed in recent weeks is indicative of a pattern that may amount to crimes against humanity